Hey everyone, let's talk about Marvel Season 1 of Daredevil Born Again on Disney Plus. So my hot take is that they could have cut at least 2 hours from the runtime and rearranged the story structure to make the whole season stronger. And that's actually what I want to talk about. Despite its significant flaws, I kind of like the series overall. It feels like Daredevil's creators understood what audiences were hoping to see, but they struggled with how to deliver the emotional payoff teased in the marketing. Still, some things worked, some didn't, and a few actually set up for season 2. So let's get into that. Season 1 follows Matt Murdock, played by Charlie Cox, as he tries to recover from Foggy Nelson's death. Hanging up his mask, Matt attempts to move forward as just an attorney trying to live without Daredevil, which feels kind of like an odd direction for a show called Daredevil to take, but I digress. Foggy's murder in the opening episode really throws everything off, and much of the season is consumed by Matt's own downward spiral, while Wilson Fisk, played by Vincent D'Onofrio, reemerges as the mayor of New York City. Vanessa Fisk steps into a more sinister role as she begins running the criminal operations, and Karen, she's largely sidelined for some reason. Across 9 episodes, Matt wrestles with his identity and anger issues, while Fisk questions the role of masked heroes and villains in the city. This kind of all happens while Matt tries to hold onto the ideals that once defined him as Daredevil. The season ends with Matt's rousing speech at Josie's bar that hints at the larger movement against Fisk's regime. While there are moments of brilliance and a few episodes that are truly fantastic, the payoff is a bit muted, which is a shame since the season could have shined with just a little more time and space to breathe. And visually, the season is sharp and honors the gritty tone of the comics while adding just enough Disney gloss to make it feel polished. But structurally, it's kind of a mess. Too many scenes exist solely to punish Matt emotionally, physically, and psychologically. And while that storyline makes sense, it takes too many episodes, slowing down the pacing, causing the middle to drag despite some interesting moments. What's missing is a sense of narrative rhythm. The show forgets to give us the emotional highs to balance out the lows. Had creators mapped out our viewer expectations against the story structure, they could have built more tension, delivered more payoffs, and left us hungry for season 2. Instead, what we got was a giant pot of suffering with very few spikes of hope in the middle. And that's not really the Daredevil that we were promised. So let's jump into the writer's room, as I like to call it, and look at what should have happened in the first 3 episodes of Daredevil Born Again, instead of what we got. The most glaring issue really is Foggy's death in the first 10 minutes, which left the emotional void that weighed down the entire season. What the season needed was time to reconnect the audience with Matt, Karen, and Foggy, showing us how their relationships had evolved to reestablish our bond with them. The entire first episode could have focused on introducing them in their current roles, letting us see them together while navigating life in New York City. Then Foggy's death, placed strategically at the end of episode 2, would have had emotional depth. Episode 3 could then launch Matt into emotional chaos, culminating in his rooftop confrontation with Benjamin Poindexter, aka Bullseye. And that escalation would have felt earned, creating the emotional spiral needed to push Matt to the brink of tossing Dex off the roof, setting up Matt and Fisk to kind of rise and fall in parallel within the season. From there, the show could collapse the slow-moving stories from episodes 2 through 6 into this tighter middle arc, spanning 3 fast-paced episodes, plus a time jump or something, could have saved a few months and showed Matt trying to rebuild his life without Daredevil while struggling to reclaim his identity as a man, a friend, and a hero. That streamlined structure would have sharpened the tension and raised the stakes for Team Masked Street Heroes while allowing Team Mayor Fisk to dig deeper into New York's power structure. That energy could have carried us into the same final 3 episodes, which could have landed more intensely to set up season 2. Matt's arc is uneven, but it ultimately delivers. He spends too much time suppressing Daredevil because of Foggy's death. He lashes out, he withdraws, and he distances himself from Karen for no real credible reason. And yet it's Karen who stands by him again, even when they're not on speaking terms. She shows up. She's the one who calls Frank Castle the Punisher when it's clear that Fisk is coming for Matt. By the final episodes, their relationship begins to mend, and we see that familiar spark return. The most revealing moment for Matt comes in the final 2 episodes when Bullseye fires a bullet at Fisk. Matt instinctively throws himself in front of the bullet, and in that split second, the core of who Matt Murdock is reignites. He's a man who saves lives. That single act reaffirms Matt's identity. It's not justice or vengeance driving him. It's empathy and it's instinct. That's Daredevil. Matt's relationship with Dr. Marta Gomez, the psychiatrist, had potential, but it ultimately fell flat. Her vigilante stance never evolves. Even after Daredevil saves her life, that rigidity made her kind of the least compelling character in the entire series. A more nuanced arc that allowed her beliefs to change with her experiences would have added emotional complexity. Instead, her presence mainly served to highlight how much more layered and emotionally resonant Karen remained. Fisk and Vanessa, meanwhile, rebuilt their relationship, and Fisk's rise to power was a strong story that faltered a little bit because of Vanessa's growing role as a dark strategist in the series. Fisk is the mastermind. He is Marvel's definitive underworld kingpin, and if Vanessa overshadows him too much, it risks diluting his iconic presence. Their power balance should feel like this dangerous duet, not a handed-off influence. The series lands its central idea that public perception can turn heroes into villains and elevate villains into heroes. And as any good marketing executive knows, whoever owns the narrative wins the argument in the eyes of the public. And while Daredevil succeeds thematically with what they wanted to do, it also illustrates a larger and consistent problem across Disney's Marvel and Star Wars series. Time and again, Disney pushes its heroes into these moral gray zones under the erroneous assumption that this makes them more compelling. It's a cheap trick that writers use to shorten or shortcut a character's development. Disney has done this yet again with Daredevil while simultaneously elevating its villains as misunderstood or even admirable members of society. I mean, really, again? And with Kingpin? I mean, yeah, sometimes that trick works, but often it just strips the story of its heroes. And thankfully, Daredevil doesn't go off the deep end with these creative choices and seems to recover both its villain and its hero in the series. But the imbalance undermines the emotional arc that Daredevil tried to deliver. And Dr. Gomez, Matt's girlfriend, she could have served as the emotional lens through which the audience questions this inversion of heroes and villains, especially after Daredevil saves her life. If she had softened just a little bit toward Daredevil and what he represents, it would have offered Matt hope that the public might come around. Sadly, her perspective never shifts. She never comes around, keeping Daredevil in the same class as villains, as Muse and Bullseye. If Matt's own girlfriend can't see Daredevil as a hero, what hope does the rest of New York have? The result is a city trapped in cynicism and narrative that risks leaving viewers without a moral compass to follow. Fisk's crackdown on vigilantes is a real problem that is bigger than just Daredevil because New York is the home of a lot of heroes, which makes it a Marvel Universe-sized problem if Fisk really follows through on his promise to eradicate mass justice. He's not just going to war with Daredevil. He's targeting the core of Marvel's street level world, which naturally includes street level characters like Spider Man and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, as well as the others, including the national heroes like Doctor Strange, Iron Man, and even Captain America himself, as he's trying to reassemble the Avengers. That final speech in Josie's bar, that's the ignition point. We don't know, we don't see who's in the shadows, but the implication is clear that Matt is gathering allies. If Fisk treats all masked figures as threats, then a larger clash is inevitable. The groundwork is laid for something that could ripple far beyond Hell's Kitchen. Based on the finale, season 2 is shaping up to be a street level war for the soul of New York. And Matt's speech at Josie's bar signals the start of organized resistance and a resurgence of heroes within society, which may mean that we're finally on track for the kind of stakes and urgency that we expected in season 1. Vanessa's rising role as a behind the scenes manipulator adds a layer of danger for the series itself, and the writers need to protect Fisk's position as the top tier threat. Continuing to weaken him as a character, like they did in Daredevil and Echo, would undercut everything Marvel has built. Season 2 must also correct the inversion of morality that left season 1 feeling disoriented. It's one thing to have the villain manipulate the viewer, but the hero should always remain the hero even when he falters. This is the moment where the heroes of New York need to rise. They need to reclaim the city and reestablish what it means to be a symbol of hope. Season 2 looks like the story we were promised in season 1. So we'll have to see how it all plays out. So is Daredevil Born Again ticket worthy? Yeah, I think it actually is, but only if you binge it. Watching the show unfold in one go or two goes really does help build the momentum it never quite achieves in a weekly release. The opening stumbles, the middle kind of drags a bit, but the end finally gives us a glimpse of the Daredevil we were expecting and waiting for all season. This isn't a perfect season. It's not even the best Daredevil we've seen, but it's a solid start. It lays the foundation for a broader, more urgent story. Let's hope that season 2 builds on this and finally delivers the clarity and purpose that season 1 struggled to find. So, what did you think? Did Matt's arc work for you? Did the ending hit as hard as it should have? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because I want to hear it all. And if you like this review, please do give it a thumbs up and share it and even subscribe. Disney and Marvel need to know that we're watching and what we are thinking, and they get that when we start talking. So thanks so much for being here. And hey, while you are here, why not check out one of these additional reviews and let me know what you thought. All right, everybody, I'll see y'all again soon. Until then, happy viewing. Bye for now.